Hey guys, it's TF Nut. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're doing another action figure review. This is going to be of the re-released Bandai Tamashii Nations S.H. Figuarts Dragon Ball Z Majun Buu Super version, Evil version, whatever you want to call it. It's the re-released Evil Buu here. Very glad they decided to re-release this figure. I missed out on it a few years ago. Never got around to getting it. Unfortunately, it was pretty expensive, but other places got re-releases. I think they did a re-release probably because they had planned to do the event exclusive Good Buu version with the new colors there, which I did pre-order that. I think that's coming out in March. But I'm glad to finally have another iconic villain in the Dragon Ball line for my collection here. Very glad they re-released this figure. I think a lot of people are also pretty happy that this got re-released as well, because the aftermarket price for this originally is really bad. Like really, really bad. It also comes with one of the accessories for Good Buu, so it's a good thing if you have that new one pre-ordered. If you missed out on that one too, like I did, hopefully that accessory is going to work with the new Good Buu. So yeah, a lot of good stuff going on with this re-release. Very happy they re-released it. Just giving you a 360 look at the box here. This figure's been out for many years, so many of you are probably familiar with it by now. You've been seeing a 360. Forgot to show off the top of the box though, and just the bottom of the box. You can see a pose of Buu right there, as well as it just says Majun Buu Super right there. Let's go ahead and get this figure out of the packaging. Here's the figure out of the packaging, and I'm having a lot of fun with it. I think this is a fantastic figure. Very glad to finally have it in my collection. It doesn't feel out of date either, even though this is a few years old. It's still pretty on par with some of the newer S.H. Figuarts stuff. Let's go ahead and take a look at the accessories, then we'll take a closer look at the figure. So we have an instruction manual here. If you're familiar with the previous one, I don't believe this is any different. It shows off the different accessories as well as some of the paint rubbing that may occur. There's also parts for the back here showing off some of the accessories for good Majun Buu. Speaking of good Majun Buu, we have the accessory piece here. This alternate head looking really nice. A bit of a blush in the cheeks, the eye. The line work in the eyes is really nice. Same thing with the mouth. This, as well as the other faces, for Evil Buu, they all have a pink matte finish on there. They all have this similar type of texturing. Not really texturing, but a hole here. Like these are indented sculpts. And there's paint in there too. You have this little piece up here. You have this pinkish, clear, translucent plastic effects piece right there. There's a hole right there, a hole right here. And I feel like the paint rubbing could get pretty bad on this little piece right here. Also, this is a little bit spiky, so it's a little bit hard to put in there. But backing out a little bit, that's how it should look. I don't have the figure right now. Of course, I'm going to get that con exclusive re-release that they had this previous year. Hopefully, I don't know if I'll review that, but hopefully, again, the paint's gonna work fine. Skin tones hopefully will match. That's too dark. This is the scrunched pouting head. I'm digging this a lot. We have really nice wrinkles around the mouth here. Nice line work going on there. One thing I've noticed, and we'll take a look at this head in a second, a little bit of a black speck. If we get a little bit closer, if I can, yeah, so is that fuzz? That's fuzz, never mind. There is definitely a speck on the around here on the top of the lip. It's really hard to see on camera, but in person I was able to see it. Can't get that off. It annoys me just a little bit. Now this one though, we have some weird like brownish type of mark here. It's also a little bit hard to see, but I can see it outside of the camera's viewfinder and look at it in person. Not the greatest. It's not god-awful QC, but still, for the price you're paying, I don't think it should be happening. Everything else about this, though, scrunch around the chin here. The line work, actually, on the eyes is nice, but this little pink underline right there misses the sculpt where it should be. There's definitely a black splotch right there and on top there. That was another speck. That is definitely a paint mark though. The eyes, the red pupils and the black around there is really nice. I think there's a little bit of shading in between the eyebrows, the ear holes. All that looks nice. Again, a matte finish of pink on here. And look at the other face, very similar in sculpt, but of course you could see all those exaggerated details with the the veins, that looks great. The scrunching around the face, the eyebrows, like the forehead, and like the line work on top of the cheeks. That is sick. The eyes too. And there's a little, I feel like there might be a tiny bit of pink bleeding through here, but that black detail in the mouth and that blue tongue looks really nice. The blue is going onto the teeth a little bit, unfortunately. So again, minor paint app issues that should not be here still. I don't think it's too bad, but personally, again, it should not be here. But this sculpting on here, undeniably fantastic on these. So for the hands, so the figure comes packaged with open hands. We have this more like glossy plastic pink hands here, which have some pretty good sculpting, really nice big fingers, as well as some scrunching detail in the actual hands here, where the fingers meet the palm. We have black thumbnails on there, looking really nice. Really large holes right here for the hands. That's what the back of the hands look like with those knuckles. And just to show off really quick, the hands are on a bit of like a dumbbell joint, sort of, if I can even pop it out. So they don't have a hinge, but there's a lot of space with all these hands that it has a pretty good range of motion. We'll talk about the articulation a little bit later. We do have open palm hands here for both arms. And I think there might be a tiny splotch in the palm, that's the left palm actually. But you can see that all of these hands have really nice black fingernails painted on there. Same thing with the thumbnails, back of the hands. Not much detailing going on there, but still looks really good. Pretty accurate to the character. A little bit of some crease work in the fingers. Then we have these different hands that aren't exactly the same sculpt. This is more like a come at me left finger with a thumbnail and fingernail painted on there. Oh, that looks good. And then we have a pointing finger, which has some black on there I need to get off. Again, nice thumbnail and fingernail painted on there. So unfortunately, the black splotches on here is not ideal. Not god-awful, but for what you're paying, which is like upwards to $75, it should not be on here. So this is the head sculpt this figure comes with. It's this more evil, sinister grin with the mouth open. Really nice paint with like the light blue mixed in with like that teal tongue. Looks like nothing's bleeding onto the teeth here. That's sick. The different creases and scrunching around the face, that looks fantastic. You also have, separation in the eyebrows there. That sculpting's great. The pupils and the black around the pupils looking really great. Just like the other head sculpts, we do have a little bit like this brownish paint in the holes here, and these are like actually indented. And then a matte finish pink on this particular head sculpt here. All that, and the bone structure right here around the eyebrows, all that looks really fantastic. The ears have a little bit of an indent in there too. Now, we do have, it's the neck's kind of basic. That's just how the neck is supposed to look. There's not much going on there. You do have these slightly indented details of these holes or these circles around here as well on the chest with a little bit of brown in there, looking pretty good. Looks like, is that a splotch? That was fuzz. It is a little hard to tell what's a splotch and what's a piece of fuzz on here, but the splotches that are on here can kind of break up the detailing and paint of the figure, unfortunately. The holes on the back here, not really holes, but all that looks really good. The muscle tones, that's not even a word, I don't think. The musculature of this figure is done really nice. Now, in person, it's not that bad. Actually, it kind of is, but you can definitely tell when difference of light, a little bit of this lighter hollow plastic, this pink plastic, compared to this little bit darker plastic in the stomach and the shoulders, breaks up the coloring a little too much. But I understand that they had to make this a little bit hollow for some of the articulated pieces going on here in the shoulder. I do wish they tried to make it a little bit more immersive, if that's even the correct term to use, where this will blend in with this properly. With that being said, you do have pretty nice basic details of how this shoulder is supposed to be sculpted, as well as this indented brown hole. Again, all these are painted in, and they're painted in rather nicely, and then you have the bicep muscles, really nice. You get down to the forearm pieces, and they're painted really nice. They have a matte black finish here, a little bit of a gold, metallic gold seam, as you can see. And it looks like the black bleeds through a little bit on some of the gold, but not by too much. Flat hands that this figure came with. You can see some of the creasing in the fingers. Again, this hand's a little bit glossy. That's what the back of the hand looks like there. And then on this side, mentioning, all the details that I mentioned on the other side earlier. Looking at this, you can see the hand again. Get that out of there. You have the stomach, which has a nice line going all the way down here for the muscles. And that pink paint is done really well. The instruction manual does mention that there could be paint rubbing here because the hard plastic is a plane flying overhead. I apologize. So be careful if you're moving that around too much if you're getting this. Also, just be careful of any particular, what would be fuzz and what would be paint splotching. It's getting a little bit hard to tell. So we get down to the rest of the, the bottom of the torso. I believe this is all one piece. Yes, this lighter pink stomach here. This is supposed to be one piece. The belt, nice M sculpted in there. The gold looks really nice. The separation of black and gold is really clean, and on the outer band too, that looks nice. The rest of it, the pants here seem a little bit plain, mostly in the paint department. The actual sculpting of creases and wrinkles, all that looks fine. Getting around the hips towards the buttocks. I don't know why I said it like that, but the sculpt work is fine there. Then you get down to like the thighs, lots of really exaggerated sculpt work. Not too exaggerated, but like right here, that's sticking out a little bit. It seems like there's a little bit of shading here and actually in the knees, but then they just kind of don't continue that in the hips or the crotch area, unfortunately. It still looks fine where it is. It kind of breaks off a little bit in a natural way, where it starts to get a little bit lighter and it has a little bit of like a slight black shade or gray shading, really, in some parts of the knee. Again, would have been nice if this was a little bit more consistent here compared to there. But the wrinkles around the calves, all that, and the knees, really nice. For how big these knees are, you would think he'd be bow-legged, whatever it's supposed to be, and he's not. It looks natural to me. Back of the knees, maybe could have a little bit of sculpt work, but it's not too bad. I don't even know if Gohan... No, Gohan has a little bit of it, but again, this is a much more recent figure where they were probably keeping stuff like that in mind. Compared to this one, I'm not going to knock it too much. We get down towards the bottom here, near these boots, these shin parts. Very similar to how they did the gauntlet piece here. It's not really, it's more like a bracer. This is a matte black paint with a little bit of gold seams towards the top and the bottom of the actual boot. All that metallic gold looks good. We have brown molded, well actually these are a little bit of a matte finish paint, but mostly brown molded shoes here with a little bit of wrinkles on top of the foot. Same thing there too. We get on the other side here so you can get an idea. Not much throughout the whole foot, unfortunately. It's kind of plain besides the top of the foot with a little bit of that wrinkling, but I'm not going to knock it too much for not being that detailed. It's supposed to look like a foot, how it's supposed to look. And then we have the bottom of the feet here. I'm going to go ahead and do that toe hinge for you. There's some serial printing on the bottom of this foot. Again, SH Figuarts have always had some pretty good detailing, but this still doesn't really need to be updated. It feels like it came out today, and the detailing on here is incredible. For articulation, we do have this dumbbell joint going into the head, and then we have the standard ball joint going into the neck there, allowing for all this range of motion from side to side. The up is very good. Down is actually pretty good too. There's pretty good forward and back motion on the bottom part of the neck. So yeah, lots of really great moving and rotation and all that. So we do have a forward motion for this butterfly joint. It does have a bit of a gappage there, as you can see. But if you do it like this, you'll get plenty of the motion that you need for fighting poses, and it doesn't break up too much. We do have a bit of a ball joint kind of going in there, but it's like mostly a ball hinge, as you can see, going all the way around, in and out, upper arm swivel, double jointed elbows here. Swivel up the actual gauntlet piece. I already mentioned ball joints at the hands. They actually move pretty nice still. You have a ball joint at the waist that moves side to side. The forward back could be better, then there's that. But then we have this separate piece here. It allows for all this extra range of motion. There really is no side to side of this section right here, though. Blades go forward that much, back really far, and we do get pretty much almost perfect splits. You can see the gappage, unfortunately. We do have upper thigh swivel going here, double jointed knees, but it's really only at 90, unfortunately, because of how big the pants are. You have a bit of actually a dumbbell joint in here, so it can go forward and then sideways and all that. You can pivot it around, moving it all the way around, and then a toe hinge. Measuring out the figure, this thing is pretty tall.
We are looking to, at the top of that, part of his head, it's like really close to 20 centimeters.
That is insane. So if we're going towards the top there, you're getting really close to 8 inches. This is pretty close to 7.5 inches to the top of the actual head right here. And all these different figures right here. Superhero Gohan, Perfect Cell, Marvel Legends Spider-Man, first ever Black Series Mando. They're all going to be much shorter, but this figure is going to fit pretty well in scale with your Dragon Ball figures, from my understanding. Quick final thoughts, because a lot of you have known about this figure by now and probably know what's up with it. It is fantastic. I am really digging it. A few minor paint splotches on my particular figure and on some of the accessories, but that's really it. This figure is really well done with amazing sculpting, fantastic articulation, great range of motion besides the knees, I'd say, and it's a very fun figure. Very happy to also have had pre-ordered the Good Buu, so I'll have a piece. Hopefully it's going to be compatible when it comes to the colors, but a piece for that figure when that eventually comes in. If you haven't picked this up by now, it is really awesome. It is still available in a lot of domestic retailers. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Comment down below with the figure that you think about the review. Leave a like, share amongst your friends. Follow me on Instagram for more content over there, and I'll see you guys later.